What do the rich buy that the poor don't even know is available for purchase? A while back some guy on here was talking about his experience working as a sort of personnel manager for a billionaire and how things are just wildly different for them. The specific example he used was how things worked when these people want to go on a trip and give any notice at all to their employees. What happens is that an advanced team gets sent ahead by a few days to scope out the rented bought location and report back exact dimensions for closet space, drawer space, etc. People back at the home go through the clothing, jewelry, etc., and draw up a priority list which is sent to the advanced team. The advanced team then spends the next 2 days purchasing the list of items, entire wardrobes, jewelry sets, makeup kits, bathing supplies, etc. Anything they cannot get, not enough time, or is one of a kind like the family heirloom watch the rich dude wears every now and then, is relayed to the house team. The family's schedule is arranged such that the moment the family leaves the house on the day of travel, a whole team of people rushes through and packs up all the remaining items, only after the family leaves. You wouldn't want to deny them access to their items for even a few seconds, which are then sent ahead to the airport while the family has a lunch or something somewhere. Upon landing, their luggage takes one route direct, and the family takes a similarly indirect route unless otherwise directed, such that by the time they get to the location all of their items are not just unpacked but in their proper organized locations and ready for use without any of the advanced team ever being visible to the family. What happens when the family leaves the location? The same situation in reverse, but quite frequently all of the repurchased items are just disposed of in some method. It's just easier, if not cheaper, to rebuy them each time the family goes somewhere if they aren't traveling to too many different locations in quick succession. This is some pharaohs of Egypt level shit. How are these billionaires even functional people when literally everything is done for them in life? Will Smith recently said in an interview that Oprah has been famous and wealthy for so long that she just forgets about the simplest things because she's used to her mind as taking care of things like carrying her coffee. Will Smith then mentioned that he once saw Obama fetch some food for Oprah. Everyone knows about mega yachts, but the very rich also enjoy their own trains, or at the very least private super luxurious train cars. With their budgets it isn't expensive to rent space on freight lines and an engine, assuming they don't own their own. Sometimes a group of friends will hook their private cars together and motor around a continent having a big party. Now I am imagining some fat cat in his luxury train car between a bunch of loads of coal and some hobos in an empty boxcar. Mr. Burns. This could take a good while. Why don't you get drunk and stumble around comically for my amusement? Smithers. I will be a one-man conga line, sir. Pet cloning. Ex-boss was getting his dog cloned for $100,000. Oh, I've heard of this. There's a company in Texas that does it kinda regularly, apparently now $25,000 for a cat, $50,000 for a dog. It's something like a $1 2K deposit just for them to send your vet the kit to obtain bio samples and to store the material. You pay the rest of it whenever you're ready to clone your critter. Edit. The company is called Viagen if anyone's curious. Thank you relative scale. See, I just don't get this. Had a friend whose super wealthy parents did this. Guess what? Different temperament and everything. Because it's still its own animal. They thought they were getting another one of their precious snuggle baby, and this one hates to snuggle and gets into everything mischievous. No thanks. I'll always adopt. Best dogs I've ever had have been adoptions. Casual travel. The poor know that planes exist and that people travel overseas. The rich go to Paris for the weekend to catch up with friends for a couple of beers and wine. Edit. Let me clarify my thoughts on this matter a bit. I am well aware that there are plenty of ways people have managed to play the system to their advantage. Frequent flyer miles and airline employee are the big two, or waiting for a sale, or planning 6 months ahead for cheap airfare. I am well aware that points, airline miles and other perks can stretch how far you can go. Yes, there are two distinct tiers here. Flying on the regular, but squeezing every penny you can, and flying rich. Flying cheap is working those airline miles, credits and perks to stretch them as far as you can. I am aware that if you work it, you can stretch those miles pretty far. When we are talking about rich, I am talking about literally one of the following. 1. Hey, do you want to swing by the next continent for beers this weekend? 2. Don't pack a bag. Catch a limo out to the airport now. Buy tickets at the airport. Fly to the next continent. Stay 3 days in a hotel without a plan or reservation. And then fly home. You probably be coming back with more luggage than you started with. Do this every month. Depending upon your whim. London, Paris, Rome, Jerusalem. 3. There are 7 continents on the planet. Let's have lunch on a different continent each day of this week. Starting today. If you have to stop and think about the cost, or play games with frequent flyer miles, and are flying in coach for an 8-hour flight, you aren't flying rich. The rich fly in private cabins that have butlers and full stretch-out lazy boys in soundproof rooms so they can actually sleep on the flight. Growing up, my family typically flew or drove somewhere once a year on top of a car trip or 2 at other points in the year as small vacations. I couldn't quite wrap my head around people I met later who would leave the country for the weekend on a moment's notice. Before this, to me travel always meant at least a few months, more typically at least half a year of knowing where and when you were going somewhere with a considerable amount of planning. Kidnapping insurance. I worked for a major company that had employees in sketchy places, war zones. We had a blanket K&R, kidnap and ransom, policy for every employee. Basically, if any employee was kidnapped, they'd pay out X millions to professional negotiators to try and free us. I never got a chance to use it, partially because I worked in Virginia the whole time. Good to know we don't have to worry about getting kidnapped if we go to Virginia. Human organs. Steve Jobs used his fortune to game the system. A quote from the article: Jobs couldn't pay for an organ, nor could he pay to cut the queue. But what someone with Jobs' resources could do, according to liver transplant surgeons and ethicists, is to use money and mobility to improve the odds, either by going to an area of the country where there are more organ donors, or by signing up at multiple transplant centers. It's not for anybody but the rich. It's called multiple listing, a practice some would say is unethical, said Arthur Kaplan, co-chair of the United Nations Task Force on Organ Trafficking and chair of the Department of Medical Ethics at University of Pennsylvania. But didn't he have pancreatic cancer? A new organ doesn't cure him. Right. Also, he could have had surgery a year earlier and most likely would have lived, but he couldn't stand the idea of parting with a piece of his own body, so he went the holistic and natural route, trying everything he could, and it didn't work. A very Steve thing to do if you've read about the guy. He basically killed himself due to how weird and stubborn he was. Man, he hated third-party repair so much he would have rather died than have something easily replaced. Explains a lot about Apple, honestly. Private boarding gate at certain airports. Complete with showers, a spa, full bar, lounge, food, a bed, gym, sauna, etc. Total privacy. Your luggage is scanned and taken through security by a concierge, and you're driven to the plane in a BMW 8 Series. LAX has them now. Hello. Yes, I would like to order some wealthiness just so I can have access to the private boarding gate. Yes, I'll hold. Thank you. ETA. Shut up, you guys. I'm on the phone. And thanks for the silver and the chuckles. Fran, this guy doesn't even have enough money to have someone else call for him, just leave him on hold for an hour. Relationships. I once worked at an Olympic horse ranch in Colorado, and the owner was from Seattle and was friends with someone that played guitar, Kurt Cobain. Then talking to one of the riders, they had been to a party over the weekend that Mark Zuckerberg was at. That's when it hit me. When you're rich, you just know everyone, or know someone that knows them. 6 degrees of separation is only for the masses. The elites is closer to 2 or 1. Edit. I'm leaving March. She's out there, somewhere. Networking is a powerful thing, and once you make it to a certain tier of people, you just know how to get a hold of them, or which person you know who does. Access. Money buys you access to people, places and events. It also buys you inaccessibility. I know a couple of billionaires. Both have yachts. That way they can get away from everyone else and just bring in the people they want to spend time with. The planet isn't that big, so my friend said he kept bumping into the same people all over the place. Gstad, Barbados, wherever. Same crowd of loaded people in the same restaurants and hotels. In the end he bought a yacht, kitted it out like he wanted it, and just flew in his pals. How do you know a couple of billionaires? Massively undervalued private company went public at exactly the right time. It peaked at about $12 billion and my pal had kept 1/3, although it was in various trusts. The co-founder also got seriously wealthy too, winning the lottery without all the publicity.